I moved to Singapore and never wanted to leave again, but what actually made me stay might surprise you. It was not the towering skyline or the glittering marina, though those are stunning. It was something quieter, something I only noticed weeks after landing. I noticed my shoulders had dropped. My jaw was not clenched anymore. I was not scanning the street out of habit or gripping my bag a little tighter when someone walked too close. Somewhere in those first few weeks, my nervous system just relaxed, and I did not even realize how tense I had been living before that. Today I want to share 10 honest reasons this small island completely changed how I think about home, safety, and everyday happiness. Some of these might feel small on paper, but lived out day after day, they add up to something powerful. Stick with me to the end, because point 10 is the one that truly made this place feel like home rather than just an address. Let us dive right in. Point 1. The kind of safety you feel in your bones. The very first thing that struck me was how deeply safe I felt, not in some abstract statistical way, but in a way my body could actually register. One night I walked home past midnight through empty streets and only realized halfway that I had not once glanced behind me. That habit, the constant low-level alertness so many of us carry in big cities, simply melted away here. I have watched people leave laptops open on cafe tables while they order food. I have seen bags left on chairs to hold a seat for an hour, untouched. Women walk alone at night without that familiar tightness in the chest. This is not chance, it comes from consistent law enforcement, low corruption, and a culture that treats respect for others as the default rather than the exception. Once you stop spending mental energy on constant vigilance, you realize how much of it you were spending before, energy you can now pour into actually enjoying your life. That foundation of safety quietly supports everything else on this list, and honestly, everything else in my daily happiness here. Point 2. A cleanliness that changes your whole mood. Singapore is famous for being clean, but living here reveals that it goes far beyond tidy sidewalks. Drains do not smell, public restrooms in malls and hawker centers are genuinely pleasant to use, and even busy construction zones stay fenced, organized, and dust-controlled. At first this seemed like a surface-level thing, but over time I understood it reflects a much deeper collective respect for shared spaces. People rarely litter, partly because of real enforcement, but also because generations have grown up reinforcing the same quiet habit. Rainstorms do not turn streets into flooded messes of floating trash the way they can elsewhere. Parks and green corridors are maintained beautifully, so cleanliness and nature actually support each other instead of competing. Even the air feels lighter, with less dust and grime accumulating over time. Living inside an environment this consistently clean does something subtle to your mood, a background calm that follows you from your apartment to the train to the office and back again, day after day, without you even noticing it happening. Point 3. Cultures living side by side in genuine harmony. One of the most beautiful surprises here is how many cultures share this small island peacefully, woven into daily life rather than kept separate. You might have breakfast at a Malay stall, lunch at an Indian restaurant, and dinner at a Chinese hawker center, all within a short walk, and nobody blinks an eye. Chinese, Malay, Indian, and expatriate communities from every continent live, work, and celebrate holidays together throughout the year. Decades ago, housing policy deliberately mixed different ethnic communities within the same neighborhoods, so integration became a natural part of daily life instead of something forced or artificial. Walk down one block and you might hear 4 different languages, and it never feels tense, it feels almost musical. Living immersed in this kind of diversity expands your worldview simply through ordinary routines, taking the train, chatting with a shopkeeper, celebrating a neighbor's festival. It taught me that different cultures do not have to compete for space, they can genuinely enrich one another, and Singapore proves that beautifully every single day. Point 4. Food that makes every single day feel exciting. The food here deserves its own love letter. Hawker centers are the true heart of daily life, open-air food courts where an unforgettable meal costs just a few dollars, and I mean unforgettable, not merely affordable. Chicken rice, laksa, char kway teow, roti prata, these are everyday staples locals queue for because the quality is consistently extraordinary. What amazed me most is the sheer variety within walking distance of my own home, dozens of stalls each perfecting one single dish, often passed down through generations of the same family. Eating out here is often cheaper and more convenient than cooking, which completely reshapes your relationship with food and free time. I found myself trying something new almost every week, discovering flavors I never knew existed, turning ordinary meals into small adventures rather than routine chores. Food here carries culture, history, and community on a single plate, and it never once stopped surprising me, no matter how many months passed since I first arrived. Point 5. Public transport you can actually rely on. Coming from cities where public transport felt like a daily gamble, Singapore genuinely rewired my expectations. Trains run on time almost to the minute, stations stay spotless and air-conditioned, and crossing the entire island costs just a few dollars. Buses connect seamlessly with the train network, and apps tell you exactly when the next one is arriving down to the minute. I gave up owning a car within months, which saved enormous money and stress, and I never once regretted it. There is no white-knuckle traffic anxiety, no unpredictable delays wrecking your whole schedule, no fear waiting alone at a station late at night. Even during peak hours, the system handles massive crowds smoothly instead of collapsing into chaos. This kind of infrastructure changes your entire relationship with time, because you can genuinely trust your commute, letting you plan your life with a precision that once felt impossible. It sounds like a small detail on paper, but it touches every single day you live here, quietly and consistently. Point 6. Career opportunities on a truly global stage. Singapore positioned itself as a global business hub, and living here means constant exposure to opportunity. Major international companies run regional headquarters on this island, pulling in talent and ambition from every corner of the world. Networking happens naturally, at industry events, co-working spaces, and casual meetups, simply because so many driven professionals are concentrated in one compact area. The government also actively supports entrepreneurship through grants, mentorship, and streamlined processes for starting a business, which pushed me to pursue projects I might have hesitated on elsewhere. English as the primary language of business removes a barrier common in many other regional hubs, making collaboration across cultures far smoother. Being a short flight from major markets like China, India, Indonesia, and Australia turns Singapore into a launchpad for the entire region rather than an isolated island. For anyone building a career or business, being here means plugging directly into a genuinely global conversation, and that energy is contagious the moment you experience it firsthand. Point 7. Healthcare that gives you real peace of mind. Healthcare is something you rarely appreciate until you desperately need it, and Singapore consistently ranks among the best systems in the world. Hospitals feel modern, clean, and efficient, and appointments rarely involve the long, frustrating waits common elsewhere. Doctors here are highly trained, many educated internationally, and the care feels genuinely attentive rather than rushed through. A structured savings and subsidy system also helps residents manage medical costs without the crushing unpredictability seen in many other countries. I once needed an urgent appointment and was seen the very same day, something that would have taken weeks back home. Preventive care is emphasized too, with regular screenings encouraged and made accessible, shifting the whole culture towards staying healthy rather than only treating illness once it becomes serious. Knowing reliable medical care sits close by removes a background layer of anxiety many people carry without even realizing it, and that peace of mind alone reshaped how relaxed my everyday life felt. Point 8. Green spaces woven into an urban jungle. Despite being one of the most densely populated places on Earth, Singapore somehow feels remarkably green. Gardens by the bay, the Botanic Gardens, and countless neighborhood parks are woven directly into the urban landscape, so nature is never more than a short walk away. Rooftop gardens, greenery climbing building facades, and tree-lined streets are everywhere, part of a long-term national vision to become a genuine city in a garden rather than just a city with a few scattered parks. I used to think concrete and greenery were opposites, but here they coexist beautifully, almost intentionally intertwined into one design. Weekend hikes through the rainforest at McRitchie Reservoir feel like stepping into another world entirely, even though you remain technically within city limits the whole time. This constant access to nature does wonders for mental health, offering a place to breathe and reset without needing an elaborate trip. Living surrounded by this much intentional greenery taught me urban living and genuine connection to nature never have to be sacrifices against one another. Point 9. A launchpad for exploring the rest of Asia. Living in Singapore turned me into an accidental explorer of the entire region. Its location makes it one of the most connected travel hubs on the planet, with direct flights reaching Bali, Bangkok, Tokyo, and Sydney often in under 6 hours. Weekend trips became a normal part of life rather than a rare luxury, because a short affordable flight could take me somewhere entirely different by Friday evening and bring me home again by Sunday night. This constant access to new cultures, cuisines, and landscapes kept life feeling fresh and expansive instead of routine. The airport itself, consistently ranked among the best in the world, made travel enjoyable rather than exhausting. Having a stable, reliable home base while still exploring an entire diverse continent gave me the best of both worlds, roots and freedom at once. Many residents here treat travel almost the way others treat weekend errands, casually and often, simply because the logistics make it effortless. That sense of the whole region being within easy reach completely reshaped how big and exciting the world felt to me. Point 10. A genuine sense of community and belonging. Despite being a small island, Singapore gave me something I did not expect to find so quickly, a real sense of community. Neighborhoods carry strong local identities, with community centers hosting classes, events, and gatherings that bring residents together on a regular basis. Expatriate communities are also incredibly active, organizing meetups, support groups, and social events that made settling in far less lonely than I ever anticipated. I found friendships forming naturally through shared hawker center meals, weekend hikes, and casual train conversations that gradually turned into something more meaningful. The multicultural nature of the island means friend groups often span multiple nationalities, enriching every gathering with different perspectives and traditions. Even small things, neighbors greeting me by name, shopkeepers remembering my usual order, added up to a feeling of genuinely belonging somewhere instead of just passing through. That sense of community, layered on top of safety, convenience, and shared respect, is ultimately what turned Singapore from a place I was living into a place I truly call home today. So there you have it, 10 honest reasons why Singapore completely changed how I see safety, community, and everyday life. It was never really about the skyline or the shopping malls, it was about waking up each day feeling calm, cared for, and genuinely connected to the people and place around me. No place is perfect, and Singapore has its own real challenges too, but for me, the balance tipped so strongly in its favor that leaving simply stopped feeling like an option worth considering. If this story resonated with you, even just a little, tell me which of these 10 points surprised you the most in the comments below. I would genuinely love to hear it. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. It truly helps this channel reach more people curious about life abroad. And if you want more honest, real stories about living overseas, hit subscribe so you never miss the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.